Hi, and welcome to this installment. So this video should have actually been a lot longer than it is. I've been working on the rule that each minute of these videos should reflect about an hour of real time. It turns out that I've been really ramping up my work schedule on this plane, and I've done so many hours that this video would have exceeded half an hour. You do the math on that. So I've fastened the time lapses in this version by a factor. It's at a moment about a 1.5 of what it was, and going forward, I might choose to ramp it up even more so that each 2 hours ends up being a minute in these time lapses. We'll see how that works out. Anyway, I'm just going to talk over this for a little bit because this is a long video nonetheless. It runs up until about 18 minutes or so, I think. And there is going to be some points where I'm going to cut away and talk in the moment to the camera. So those will be coming up. And what I will do is I will annotate this video so that you can skip to those points, or and also so that you can have a good idea of what's going on. What you've seen me make here so far in this video is a piece called F28, which is to the left of the frame at the moment. There I just moved it. And the first version of it didn't go so well, and I had quite a bit of dryness on that bulkhead because of the vacuum system I was using to try and get an optimal resin to fiberglass ratio. And that ended up not really working well for me. I was using something called layup, which is supposedly a cheaper way and a better way of doing it. But something about my setup is wrong. The pump is too strong, the epoxy is maybe too runny. Not sure what it is, but that vacuum system was starving my layups of epoxy over time. I would lay it up, everything would look good, and then the next morning I'd look at the cured part and it would be somewhat dry. So at this point of the video, you still see me doing the vacuum method. And that back end of this bulkhead came out okay, but still just a tad dry in one spot. Not to the point that I would reject the part, but that's how it was. So you'll see then all the subsequent layups to that, I didn't use the vacuum method. I just went old school. I still do peel ply. It does give me nice flat parts with a nice texture on them that I find quite easy to sand without going through layers of gloss, which we really don't want. And yeah, so I've basically at this point mostly given up on low vac. I don't think for whatever reason, temperature, epoxy, whatever, it's gonna work for me. So that just ends up being what it was. So I remade F28. This is the bulkhead that supports part of the weight of the airplane via the canard wing that's on the front of the plane. So obviously I wanted to get it right and made sure that it is the required strength. Now the next part you're going to see me make, and what I'm preparing here, I'm fairing off that doubler piece that goes onto this bulkhead. This is in the front, in the nose of the plane, basically where your feet rest in the nose. If you can imagine my feet going just through those two holes there, the right hand for the right hand passenger and the left hand hole for the left hand passenger. Um, that's basically all the room you have in the nose for your feet. This piece does get, you'll see that on the back end of it, where this doubler is, there's a couple of layers of glass, but not a hell of a lot. But on the other side, it was a really thick and a really involved layup with a lot of build-up. So it was a lot of work. For now, I'm just going to leave it to the time lapse here, and me in real time will be with you in a couple of moments.
Girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I like the girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done.
Okay, what you've just seen me do is prep for one of the bigger layups I've ever done. So we're going to do this guy, and if you saw me cutting out, you would have seen that we're doing 2 layers of bidirectional across the whole thing, then 5 layers of uni and 4 layers of bed there, 5 layers and 4 layers of uni and bed there, and there's 1 ply of uni directional that goes over there. It's very, very obvious why that is. As I've said before, this is where the canard attaches. So the front wing of the aircraft hangs off of this piece here, that top piece. So we've got uni reinforcement at the back, we've got uni reinforcement there, and then to bring these loads down we have 5 layers of uni here, and obviously bed to distribute the load in all directions. So I think tomorrow night we're going to come in here and we're going to be laying up for a couple of hours. If I had to estimate, maybe 2.5–3 hours of work. We'll see. We did see, and yes, this ended up being much longer actually. You see me mixing up epoxy there and getting ready and starting to glass that piece. I ended up being here for 3 hours and 20 minutes. So a significant layup this. Everything hurt. My back was sore. My neck was sore. As you can see, I'm bending over this thing the entire time. This was a hell of a lot of work, and I'm sure, well, what makes me worry is that this is by far not one of the biggest pieces I have to make. It just has a hell of a lot of reinforcement in those 2 spots. You'll see me going left, right, and left and right, just doing all that reinforcement that goes on those 2 sides to help carry the load of the plane. So yeah, let's let this run. And of course, there will be another little interlude where Chris in real time will have a little chat with you again. And that's coming up in a couple of minutes.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their nails done.
Okay, so we've come up on our first little gotcha. Because we work in metric and because I was ordering foam in metric, you have to choose the thickness of foam that's closest to the metric foam. This is 7mm foam for bulkheads that are supposed to be 1/4 of an inch. 1/4 of an inch is 6.3-ish millimeters. So I don't want to go with 6, don't want too thin. I thought I'd rather shoot for a little bit too thick. And I made these hardpoint attaches before the foam actually arrived. And I just went ahead and made it 1/4 of an inch because that's as damn near 7mm as you're going to get. Well, it turns out that 1/2 millimeter causes a bit of a joggle where these need to fit in here, like so. And it causes a joggle where these meet, where the glass is going to make a little indent in there. I don't know if that's the best thing. So, you know, these are 6.3mm, this is 7mm. So we're 0.65 to 0.7mm out. And the thing is, I didn't think I would be able to see that, but I can very clearly see that. I'm going to have to put a couple more layers of glass on this. So this is fine according to the plans. The plans say get them to the thickness that's desired. It's just that the thickness that's desired was 1/4 inch. And this is a bit thicker. That's what we're going to do. These are, of course, in case you haven't been watching, landing gear attach points. So this is a bulkhead that goes in the back of the plane where the main landing gear is like a curve like this. And that comes through there, like so. And these hard points are where bolts go through this bulkhead to attach the landing gear. This would be the bottom of the fuselage, and this is the air intake that goes back into the engine. But this is supposed to sit exactly flush with that so that we can glass all over it, and it's not sitting flush. So a couple of more layers on this. It's not a hell of a job. The biggest part of that job is just going to be to trim it nicely back to shape again. These are the little things we find out when we're working between imperial and metric units, but it is what it is in a metric country. Well, it is what it is in metric countries, which is the entire world except the USA and like Myanmar.
I'm just calling to say I I'm just calling to say I